everybody. We're going to start our Hangout now. And this is Deborah and then Phil Turner. And we'll be talking about, to start out with, article quality guidelines. And in a few minutes, Gerald will join us and we'll cover the new features that MyBlogGuest is offering. So take it away, Phil. Tell us about the article quality guidelines.
Article quality guidelines, a pain in my neck. The main problem we have is people who seem to be unable to write in good English or to recognize poor English when they see it. Because now, not everybody has good English, it's fine, and MyBlogGuest doesn't limit its users to just America and Britain and Canada and Australia, but anybody who writes on there has to be able to write in good English, which an awful lot of people cannot do. And they can't even recognize when they've done something wrong. I'm saying that this article is full of errors, and they say, I cannot see any errors, which makes life very difficult. Perhaps people should be more willing to pay an English-speaking editor from the US or from Britain, Canada, Australia, wherever, if they are not from those countries. That way, more of their articles will get through to the gallery, will go live, and will get their customers the links and so on that they're after. At the moment, those things are not happening.
That's a good idea. So they can still write the quality content, but you've got somebody that's going over and finding those errors. That's interesting that it's not a matter of like quote unquote bad editing, but they're not actually seeing the grammatical errors and so forth. It's hard to correct it.
I mean, sometimes I'll proofread the first paragraph and I'll send that across. But I think, as we said last time, Anne doesn't pay me to edit articles. She just pays me to check them and to send them back if they're not up to scratch.
Mm-hmm. That would take a lot of time if you're going word for word.
It will. So I do that, and then people just resubmit the same errors over and over again. The other thing is when people resubmit they've had an article hidden and they just press resubmit without making any alterations whatsoever, which is very frustrating. Because I have to read through the whole article again. It takes me another 2 or 3 minutes, and it takes them 2 seconds to press resubmit. So that limits the amount of articles I can check. Again,
so you're finding that people aren't even looking to see what the errors may be, and they're literally resubmitting it? Is that what it seems like?
I suspect that the people who have access to the resubmit button are not the people with authority. They're the writers.
Okay.
They're not the employers. They're not the managers who actually would have to deal with any issues. And the writer just wants it off their desk, just hits resubmit again and again and again.
Makes sense. I think I told you that my very first article, you kicked it back. I think I had the HTML code or something, and I actually reached out and contacted Anne, and that's how I met Anne. It's like, Anne, please help me. I'm trying to follow the rules I don't understand, which really says a lot for the team that they're so helpful.
Everybody is helpful. Everyone does try to help, but nobody can do the member's job for them. When it comes down to the crunch, the member is responsible for the article and its quality.
Hey, we have Gerald with us. Gerald, welcome.
Hi, how you doing? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, great. Yeah. I got your Skype a few minutes ago. I was fighting with Houston traffic, but I'm here now.
Well, good. We're glad you're here. We were talking about the article guidelines.
Yeah.
The article quality guidelines.
Uh-huh.
You have anything to add?
Are we talking about the articles gallery?
Yes.
In general? All right, great. I've never actually read the guidelines word for word, but I mean, I think there's, kind of an unspoken rule of best practices. I mean, I have written quality guidelines on my guest post, but is there specific points regarding that we wanted to discuss?
I think we're talking in general. I like what Phil brought up in the last Hangout and this one as far as the editing on the English and the grammar.
Well, there's some other things that a lot of times you think are kind of common sense, but until you get some guest post submissions that have some, I guess you say, glaring things that stick out. I don't know if we just discussed this yet, but another, I guess you say, faux pas, or maybe even an unspoken rule, but I know it's also it's covered in the guidelines, is when people randomly insert self-serving links, in the content, especially if it's like, say, in the first paragraph or something.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the things that we're pretty strict on.
Yeah,
no self-serving links in the first half.
Yeah, right. And I think it's not something that's totally disallowed, but I think it's maybe the first paragraph, but it's kind of bad form in anyhow.
It is disallowed. I hide articles all the time.
100%. Okay. It used to be people could put it if they put a note on the article, but I mean, the way I see it, you're already getting a couple links in the byline, and you already have the right to publish on someone else's blog, and you can have one of those links anchor text anyhow. So I mean, there's really just no need to push the envelope by trying to inject a link, because obviously people are going to be like, for SEO purposes, they figure, well, in content is more is a better type of link, generally speaking. But you have to keep in mind that when you're guest posting on someone else's blog, if your focus is 100% SEO, you're taking the wrong approach in the first place. You know what I mean?
And that's coming from an SEO expert.
Yeah. Well, it is, because I obviously do care about links. I don't think you should use. I think as an overall internet marketing strategy, guest blogging definitely should be there. And I'm not going to say that links aren't important to some degree, but you have to find a proper balance, and you have to be respectful for other bloggers. Because you're like, when you're guest posting on their blog, you're like a guest in their home. So if like, you wouldn't go over to someone's house and be like, hey, how you doing? Hey, what do you got something to eat? You got something to drink? Start going through their fridge or something. I mean, you have to have proper etiquette and proper manners when you're someone else's guest, And it's the same principle when you're on their blog, guest posting on their blog, if you will.
Yeah, I agree totally.
I like that. I like that. There are some people that I think come into our houses and may. But usually they're close family.
They probably aren't going to get invited back,
Exactly. That's a good point. I look at the guest posting as an opportunity to develop a relationship, hopefully, with the owner of the blog and possibly the people that comment, and kind of building that blogging community.
Well, sure. It's obviously that's what I'm saying. So you're getting the links in the byline, but you have the further opportunity to market your brand, your name, build relationships. So take the byline link for what it is, but don't try to push the envelope and don't focus only on the link, because you're going to really miss out on some of the other benefits. When it comes to guest blogging, that's. I understand the desire for people, especially people in the SEO field, to want links. But if that is your only focus on guest blogging, it's incredibly narrow-sighted, and you're just going to miss a lot of the other opportunities that come with the marketing via guest blogging.
Now, Phil, do you work with the actual checklist? There's a whole page of page and a half, 2 pages worth of actual checklist items before you submit the article.
Oh, sure, sure. And what was your question about that?
Oh, I was wondering if that was something on the moderating end of it, Phil. Do you ever work with that and moderating articles? Does that checklist pop up for you too?
I don't use a checklist. I use what's in my head. I can't remember that. I can't even find it all in one place, and it keeps changing. So what I do, I know what I'm looking for. Primarily good
Right.
English, ideally subheadings, proper paragraph breaks, something that's useful to people, something that's got an angle, rather than just a generic article about the iPhone. Something about who could use an iPhone, or why an iPhone might be a better replacement than something else. I want an angle, ideally. I'm checking for links. I'm checking for good English. And that's most of it, to be honest. If it makes sense, if there's one or two things, I'll leave a note saying to correct it. If I find a link in the first half of it, I'll hide the article. And I would urge anybody who finds a link in the first half of an article after they've bid for it and got the whole text to return it, because that is definitely against the rules as they're currently applied. That is a reason for hiding, and we will then watch that member until they mend their ways. And they'll have to submit every article they do for checking before it goes live. But those are the main things I'm looking for. Just links and images. Images which some people will insist on using Getty images.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Non-commercial images. Images that they just are very vague about where they've got them from. I think there's now an automated system where people can click as to the source or otherwise of their images, which is a big improvement on what there was. But people still need to do it. People need to say which is their own link and which is a reference link.
Okay.
People are not doing that.
So you actually check on the citations to make sure that people are noting where they got the photo and the licensure and so forth.
Sometimes. I've gotten now so I can spot a commercial photo, or rather a non-commercial one or a Getty one. Now the problem with Getty is that we don't actually hide Getty images. That's for bloggers to be aware of, and Anna's put a message up with every article now. Check the permissions that are given. I won't touch Getty images at all, because they can hit you for €1,000 lawsuit, $1,000
Yes.
lawsuit.
Don't mess with Getty.
No way. I don't pin or suggest articles that've got Getty images in, or which are shorter side headings. Those are the only. I haven't got many carrots. And those are the only what they suggest and the pin are the only carrots I have. So I have to make sure that the articles which I do suggest to people and which get consequently better offers are actually as good as we can give them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So with Phil the moderator, there's an aspect where if you need to, the article gets hidden, but then if you really like it, it gets pinned or suggested. So if it's in between that point, there might be a little bit of growth room so that you can get to that point where Phil the moderator suggests it or pins it.
Yeah, I mean, you say my name, my handle there. That started because originally people were saying, "Who's this Phil guy who's writing stuff all over our articles? Who is he anyway?" So I changed my name to Phil the moderator.
Hey, it works.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just was going to add one little tidbit to the what we're just discussing about the quality guidelines, because I know this is something that comes up a little bit, especially in the articles gallery. I'm not sure exactly how or if this is exactly outlined in the specifically worded in the guidelines, but I know it's one of those things that could be considered kind of like a faux pas or best practices. But sometimes when you get an article, and again, it goes back to, is this guest author mostly concerned? Is this guest author concerned about really putting out a good guest post, or is this guy just interested in SEO and like that's his only focus? But it's when they write, they're in an odd niche, let's say, and the guest blogger to be writes an entire guest post around the keywords, and there's like something kind of obscure, like find the coolest, the best discount codes online, save big, woohoo, or something like that, right? So
the woohoo, that's great.
And the whole article is like, save on discount coupon codes. Coupon codes are great, man. You can find awesome coupon codes here and there. Coupon codes are everywhere, And so
hidden for keyword stuffing.
Yeah, well, yeah, keyword stuffing, but it's even if they don't go completely nuts with the keywords, it's just you could tell the art, instead of just writing an interesting article, you could maybe write, say you're promoting discount coupons, you could maybe write an article that's not keyword focused on discount coupon codes, for example, but something that has an interesting angle, and you can still have your keywords and anchor text in the byline. But yeah, I mean, that sort of thing, it just kind of like destroys the integrity of the, I think of the person trying to submit the guest post, because it clearly shows that, hey, I'm really just interested in the SEO benefit, and I really don't care about adding any value. And so even if a post like that occasionally finds a blog that's willing to post it, it's just kind of low quality. It's kind of a turn off, and I think it degrades the overall feel of the articles gallery when we get submissions like that. So don't do that. That's pretty much the point there.
The coupons ones are very difficult to write because there's an awful lot of those which have that pattern.
Sure, and that's just one example, but I mean, it could be anything. Like, let's say you're promoting a criminal defense attorney in Houston, and if your title is something like how to find the best criminal defense attorney in Houston, 5 steps or something, and it's like, come on, man, you can come up with something a little more creative than that,
I wonder whether it's the client which is driving that style of writing.
Well, yeah, that could be, but then, it comes back to, if we're talking about someone that is a SEO by trade, then the SEOs themselves have to have guidelines. I mean, for example, I realize everyone has to make a living, and it can be tough work, building links if that's what your job is, but you have to learn the right way to do it in the environment. But as an example, I offer guest blogging services as part of what we do, but I clearly state on my guest blogging services page, which I can link here in the chat. I clearly state that hey, if you're just looking for a spammy link building service, then this is not the deal. The links are gonna be part of it, obviously. But if you have like some crazy guide, the client has like some crazy guidelines that the keyword has to be in some obscure keyword has to be in the title and the first paragraph and the second paragraph or something, then that's just not the way we do it here. That's my answer to that. If it's coming from a client, I'm not going to bow down to every request from someone that wants guest blogging services. Does that make sense?
It does. Makes sense to me, but it obviously doesn't make sense to other people.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I mean, I guess if someone wants to do it and they want to do it right and they want to get the benefits, they need to learn to proper way to do it in the current environment. Because if you do it in a way that looks spammy and turns people off, then guess what? You're going to look like a spammer and you're going to turn people off, you know? That's just pretty much all there is to it when it comes to that.
Perhaps it's the people who are new to the job.
And that
We're easily bullied.
And that could be the case. And then so we have things like this where we can, you know, educate newer people.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps.
I think as long as they have an attitude that they want to learn, that's really helpful because there's so much information out there. There's a lot of helpful people within the MyBlogGuest community and even the blogger community at large. So currently there's several options on MyBlogGuest. Well, currently we also have the new website, which Gerald will tell us about. But in my forum, we have the social help and really nice bunch of people. I love how they post their articles and then go help everybody else out. And there's literally so much social love going on in that forum. Okay, I'm retro. I'm going back thinking 60s now, but so that's a great place. And I believe, Gerald, do you know if that will continue even with the addition of the new website? That will still be a forum. That will be an option.
Forum?
Yes.
You know, that's a really good question. And originally, Anne's response was that viral content buzz is to basically replace that. But I don't know if that means literally replace it or maybe if it means supplement it. I don't know. I think it would make sense to probably keep that there, but I'm not 100% sure if that's going to come down or exactly what. So, yeah, and that's the way it was worded. But you know, she might not have literally meant that help forum is going to come down.
Well, and the replace, that makes sense. It depends on how you interpret that as far as replace.
I guess Anne would be the one to like give that solid answer on that. But yeah, either replace or supplement. You know, it's definitely intended to be the primary, I guess, avenue to start, you know, really getting some promotion action on guest posts from MyBlogGuest, or even if you're not from MyBlogGuest, if you just need, you know, some promotion on guest posts.
So tell us, how did viral content buzz start? Was it discussion over coffee, over Skype, or?
Well, you know, I mean, you know, the social promotion is something that, well, Ann and I, and well, you know, just pretty much everyone that we know that blogs has been doing or trying to do for, you know, past several years, 4 or 5 years since we've been blogging, you know. So, you know, we've tried a little bit of everything, you know, get some IM votes, participate in forums, you know, different like tweet exchange type websites and stuff like Triber, which Triber's not bad if just for getting retweets, but like anything, it has its advantages and disadvantages. We used to use sites like dig.com back in the day. We could occasionally drive insane traffic from sites like Dig and Reddit. Yeah, so I mean, we've been there, done that, and you know, tried pretty much all the different blog commenting, you know, all the different avenues to promote content, and they all work, you know, to some degree, you know, but they all, like anything else, they all have their advantages and disadvantages. If you're gonna you know, share an article with hundreds of friends via IM, let's say, well, you know, something like that's time consuming, you know. You maybe have a few good, you know, power user friends on Twitter, or you send a few DMs if you have a article you really want some promotion on, and, you know, get some few tweets that way. But eventually what seems to happen is that you reach a point where, you know, you've reached out, you've spent some time, you've reached out to some of your friends, and you know, you've shared it on StumbleUpon, and you know, maybe you got a little action. If you have a good readership, that's a good way to get tweets and stuff, email list. But you know, usually you reach a point where you kind of exhausted those avenues, and you're kind of like, you know, you want more eyeballs on the content, you know. So you're like, well, what do I do next? You know, I've already like done all the standard things I do when I write a blog post. So you know, we've also been testing other sites for years, like the Triber and Social Adder and some of these retweets and Stumble platforms and stuff. But I think, problem with a lot of those have their advantages and disadvantages too. So we really didn't find a platform that worked the way we wanted to, that we really liked. Like each platform had, maybe one or two cool things, but also had one or two things that we really, really didn't like. Like maybe all of the submissions were like really, really spammy all the time. You don't want to really, I'm not going to share that to my 100,000 followers on Twitter if, it's a bunch of spammy submissions, So we're like, but we want to find a better way where we can facilitate people sharing actual quality content. Where you don't have to dig through a bunch of spam, or on a site like Triber, which I think Triber is not really bad. I mean, you can get some decent retweet action on that, but like in that example, you're like in a tribe and you're kind of like obligated to. You have kind of like this obligation factor, like, hey, I'm in your tribe, we all support each other, so you have to kind of like tweet your stuff whether you like it or not. So that can kind of put you in an awkward position. So, after years of trying all different ways of promoting stuff and trying some different services that aim to facilitate that, we kind of put our heads together to create a unique model that we think will work really well, but has a primary focus on quality. So we moderate all the submissions. So if something is spammy, we obviously nuke it, but it's kind of like the articles gallery. It has to have a certain minimum quality factor for us to allow it on there. So when people go there, they can expect they're going to see some pretty good articles, but then once they're there, they just share what they want. So yeah, we just taken our years of experience of trial and error and kind of put it together in this new platform to something that we think is going to be great in terms of quality and being able to get some good share action on content.
You brought up a couple of good points there as far as the quality, because we were talking about the quality and avoiding the spamming. That was what I was thinking, was how are you going to control the quality? But basically, it is the same approach, like you said, as the MyBlogGuest, as far as the quality guidelines that the moderators have. Yeah.
Absolutely, and we actually have quality guidelines that right when you're submitting a project, you have to check a box that states, I've read the quality guidelines, and then there's a link to the quality guidelines. So basically, what that says, what we're trying to get across here, it's very similar to what we're talking about with quality guidelines in the articles gallery, or let's just think about even quality guidelines when you're going to submit a guest post. All right, just because you submit a guest post to a blog for potentially being published, just because you wrote it and just because it's not spam and just because it's original doesn't mean it's automatically going to be published. You have to have a certain minimum level of value there, and it's the same concept here with our quality guidelines. And I'll link this in the chat. We want, when people submit something or people come to share other people's story to earn credits, so that they can in turn use those credits to share their own. We want to have a certain minimum quality standard, so people aren't like, oh, this is a great concept, but man, these stories are like all so spammy. We have a certain minimum level of quality, so that way, and even so, there's still no obligatory sharing. You don't have to share every article, even though they have gone through our quality filter, so to speak. People still only share stuff that they really think is interesting. So something that they would be, something that they would like to have on their Twitter stream or their Facebook. So they're not just like tweeting out something that's kind of like meh, kind of subpar, just so they can earn a couple credits to get their stuff shared. Because when that happens, when people start sacrificing the quality of what they share on their own social networks, well, then that kind of brings down their authority and brings down the number of eyeballs they get. So by allowing people to earn credits by sharing only what they like, that's a very unique approach there. So that there's not a feeling of, oh man, I gotta retweet Bob's story, even though it kind of sucks. His post kind of sucks. He usually writes good stuff, but today his post kind of sucks or has something I don't really agree with. You know, it says SEO is dead or something, and I don't believe SEO is dead. So I really don't want to tweet that. But you know, I feel obligated to Bob. You know, we don't have we totally get rid of that that factor where you have that like reciprocal vote exchange circle type thing, because it's all random and anonymous. When you go in there, you browse, your initial dashboard is tailored to your interests. So if you like business and SEO, or if you like family or whatever your topics of interest are, that's what you're going to see right when you log into your dashboard. But then you can click the other categories if you just want to browse other categories and kind of diversify your sharing. And then you wait till you find something that looks interesting. You give a little quick proofread or whatever, and then give that a share, and that way you're only sharing good stuff. So I think that is the real key, the focus on quality. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, at least good or bad, you're sharing things that you believe that your audience would be interested in, which helps you and your social platforms and your whole brand.
That you want to share, that you like to share, that you feel your audience is going to be interested in. You're not going to be sharing, you're not going to share low quality just because you got to share something to earn credits, and like I said, you don't have that obligatory reciprocal vote exchange type factor.
I wonder if sometimes, this is a little bit of a sidebar, but I wonder if sometimes, especially the newbies just coming in, understand that if you go out and share absolutely everything, you're really diluting your message, if there is a message there, and people, well, at least I will stop following because I don't know what you're trying to say, what your brand is about.
Yeah, stop following, or just stop paying attention, or stop caring. Absolutely. Especially if you're trying to build. Depending on what your niche is, but especially if you're trying to build some authority on a certain social platform, you need to really think about the stuff the message you send out, whether it's a tweet or whether it's sharing something on LinkedIn or Facebook. You need to really make sure that you are adding some kind of value when you do that, and that's exactly why. And we understand this concept, and that's exactly why we say, well, we want to take a high quality approach, and it's also taking the high quality approach is also something that's going to be more attractive to more powerful users. People that have more social influence, if they're able to share, what they really like, as opposed to having some kind of obligatory thing, then they're gonna be more apt to participate. And on the same note, also users are, when they do share and they earn credits, the credits are going to be they're going to earn more credits the more authoritative their social account is. So, for example, someone with 100,000 followers on Twitter, if they tweet something, they're going to earn more than someone that has 100 or 1,000 followers, and that's fair, because generally, this is not 100%, of course, nothing is, but generally speaking, a Twitter account with 100,000 followers is usually gonna get more eyeballs and attention. It's usually gonna be more authoritative than someone that has 100 or 1,000 followers. So it only makes sense to give them more credits. So by doing that, and also focusing on the moderation, the high quality approach, our platform is going to be something that's going to be more more attractive to more authoritative users, which is good for everybody. When you have,
so if you really put that blogger mind to it when you designed it.
Absolutely. Well, the blogger mind and the social media influencer mind, and but yeah, I mean the whole concept is really built around the blogger looking to get more eyeballs on their content.
You're mentioning as far as getting more credits if you have more followers, and that reminds me of some of the sites that I've seen, some competitors, where you actually designate a base level. So, for example, I don't want anyone that has less than 200 followers to tweet this. But the hard thing about that is you might have somebody that actually has 200 followers, but 200 very engaged mommy bloggers or something like that. With the new model here, you'll be able to capture those people. Maybe they won't get as many credits, but you can still grab people at all levels as far as whether they have 200 or 200,000 followers. That's unique. I haven't seen that.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is we want it to be attractive to the big guy and the little guy. We haven't added a filter where I only want people with 1,000 or 5,000. But the other, to tweet. But the other thing, I think, when you don't put a filter like that, I think it keeps things more organic. And like you said, there's no absolute when it comes to authority, when it comes to something like number of followers, because there can, some can be more engaged, have more engaged followers, more legitimate followers than others. So, there's not going to be a perfect system where, this guy's earning exactly what he should be for his number, for his amount of engagement. But yeah, it keeps things more organic though. So yeah, you have the guy with 200 followers tweeting you 1,000 followers, and you may have your occasional person with 50,000 or 100,000 followers or whatever. And I think all of those tweets have some value. The key is the real key is here, because here's another good point. There are some services that not going to mention any names, send, but that will create a lot of spammy accounts, and they're like puppet accounts, and they'll just like retweet. They're like, oh, you'll get X number of retweets, and you're getting retweets from these accounts that are are spammy. They're like puppet accounts, no real followers. So they're thinking, okay, well, you get this number of tweets, and these are going to be signals for Google. So they're like thinking strictly SEO. And I don't even know if that's the case, if they're just puppet accounts. But the point is, our focus is, you have to have a real Twitter account. You have to have a real Facebook account. You can't create, blanket puppet spammy accounts and just share from those. Or if you do and get caught, we're going to ban you, of course. But the point is, with real bloggers, these are real people that are really engaged in social media. So even if you only have 500 or 1,000 followers, someone tweeting you, these are real accounts. So those tweets from those individuals or Facebook shares from those individuals all have some value, because they're real people, and they're all going to have some eyeballs.
So Phil, what do you think? Does this sound like something that you'll add to your daily tasks when you're not reading and moderating articles in the MyBlogGuest article gallery?
Are you sure you want to hear my answer?
Sure, all answers welcome.
My Twitter followers, I think I have 6, mainly because I've not worked at it. I've got other things to do, and I've not. It's not a priority for me. I'm a one-man band, and I prefer the other instruments. So my website grows on its own merits, and I don't do very much tweeting or anything else. I've got various plugins installed which help me get links and people from other sites visiting. But that's as far as my own web promotion goes.
So you have a promotion plan that works for you,
yeah,
without the need for all the social media sharing.
Well, like I say, I have no time. I'm working 16 hours a day. I've no time to fit anything else in. And this particular, I did look at it when it started. I remember now as you were talking. But it's no use to me, because I've only got 6 half-interested followers.
But that's probably a good thing, because it looks like the viral content buzz is set up for people that actually are looking for that type of promotion. So it's not something you want to go see if you can get 2 million people to sign up and not use it.
True, but in order to get anything of mine tweeted, I would have to tweet 10,000 other things from my own account, and I haven't got time to tweet 10 of my own, let alone 10,000. It's probably a slight exaggeration. I don't have the figures here.
That's right, it makes a point.
But I decided it wasn't for me.
Right, that makes sense. Are there any plans to integrate the viral content buzz into MyBlogGuest in the interface? I think that's an advantage.
I think I think that may be in the plans. I wanted to add something on what Phil was talking about. Yeah, I think if I understood what you're saying correctly, because you're working 16 hours a day, you really don't have time to go on there and sit there and share content on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. And you know, a lot of people are like that. I mean, a lot of people are busy, you know, with their jobs, businesses, whatever, blogging, so forth. So we are in the future. It's not something we're doing, you know, tomorrow. I don't know the exact time frame. Maybe 3 months, 6 months. It could be a year for all I know. But at some point, we are going to add the option to purchase credits. So, you know, that is something. You know, it's always going to be free for people that are willing to share. But you know, at some point, it's like that's the problem. Someone has a very busy life or a very busy business, and they just don't have the time. We'll have an option like that where people will have the option to eventually purchase credits, and then just, you know, you don't have to sit there and share all day long if you don't have the time to do that. So that's actually a very common scenario, you know, for a lot of people, that they just don't have time.
Yeah, more money than time, and other people have more time than money.
If you have more time than money, it's always free. Spend your time doing it. If you don't have the time and you have the money, we'll eventually have the option to buy credits. So, you know, that way we can accommodate busy lifestyle, and then also people that are more on a budget, or even if they're not on a budget, just would prefer to use it for free.
But that's in keeping with the MyBlogGuest model as far as it is free.
Yeah, it's keeping the MyBlogGuest model, so it's never going to be like, oh, we got you addicted to this new platform, now you have to pay. No, it'll always be free. You'll just have an option to buy credits eventually if you just don't have the time, you know, or you don't want to. You have the time, but you'd rather spend that time doing other things.
Right. Now, is there anything in the viral content buzz that's like a buffer system, where you can, you know, let's say I go in there and I spend the first half hour of my day there, but I don't want a gajillion tweets going out all at once. I want to buffer them throughout the day.
What's that now?
Is there a buffer type system? And that's probably a copyrighted term, but to be able to schedule sharing?
For scheduling, actually, that is on our developers list. It's something we're adding. A few things that we're adding to the platform. One of them is the ability to schedule, because, yeah, you know, if you want to send out X number of tweets, there's a lot of articles. You might not want to blast out 15, 20 tweets all at one time. That makes a lot of sense. We actually had some users suggest that, and that's a great idea. So we've added that to our list for our developers. So that should be here. I don't have the exact time frame, but it should be here very, very shortly. The ability to schedule. Also, we're going to be adding a different layout option. So you'll have a couple different choices of the way you can view the layout when you're going through the share queue. Then we're also going to be adding some additional platforms. We're going to be adding Google+, StumbleUpon, and Pinterest as well.
Excellent.
So you'll be seeing those coming within the next couple of months or so. So yeah, we've had the core functionality like up and going for a few weeks now. We've been making a lot of updates based on user input. And yeah, so those are some of the next things in line to come, or the scheduling, and then adding some additional social platforms, and we're gonna continue. It's gonna be it's gonna be like MyBlogGuest in the sense that like we're never gonna stop adding features and stuff. So like as time goes on, we're gonna continue to listen to user input, and we're gonna keep, you know, making updates and changes that the community wants.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing on the viral content buzz. I do want to take a couple minutes and talk about the WordPress plugin. Are you involved in that at all, Gerald? On the MyBlogGuest WordPress plugin?
Well, I'm not involved in it per se, but I'm generally familiar with it. I haven't actually used it yet, mainly just because I've been more active placing guest posts, but haven't been exactly haven't been using the articles gallery to publish on my blog that much recently, at least. Not recently, at least. And that, again, that's mostly on my end, mostly a time issue, like Phil was saying earlier. But from what I understand, it's actually very, very cool. You can browse articles and make offers right from your WordPress dashboard, which to me, for someone that is looking for a lot of guest posts in their blog, is just like the coolest thing ever, really. You know.
Oh, I love it. I've installed it on all my blogs. I love it because a lot of times
it's actually on my list, my to-do list, but you know, again, it's just I haven't been publishing a lot of guest posts on my blog as of late. But yeah, I mean, I think for someone that is interested in publishing from the articles gallery, I mean, it seems like the best thing since sliced bread, really, for that.
It is very convenient. I spend a lot of time in the forum on MyBlogGuest, and then I'm done with my tasks, and I go on to the next thing, and I say, oh, I forgot to go to the articles gallery. But I spend a lot of time in the blog, and having that WordPress plugin right there is so convenient because it'll automatically search for the category that fits my blog as designated in the profile in the MyBlogGuest, and I'll see the articles right there. I can make an offer, and that probably saves 90% of the time right there.
Yeah, that's actually, I think I'm going to check that out over the weekend because I've actually been meaning to actually, even though I don't publish on my blog from the article gallery that much, I've been just meaning to check out the functionality. So, yeah, I'm going to check. I'll check that out over the weekend, actually.
Also, it's nice because if you miss the email, which I missed an email where an offer was accepted, but I got that little red bar that goes across the WordPress that says that there was something pending. So yeah, if you're having any trouble receiving the email or you haven't logged into MyBlogGuest, you log into your blog and you get a notice that yes, somebody's accepted it and expecting to have their article published within the next day. So that's very convenient. Saves time having to check all your offers.
Yeah, it just never ceases to amaze me, all this awesome stuff that Ann just keeps coming up with, you know? I'm like, oh my God. Like, just... I'm like, oh my God, just when I thought, you know, it couldn't be any more amazing, she comes up with this, you know?
She's like an idea think tank all in one woman. Although MyBlogGuest wouldn't be what it is without Phil, the moderator. Thank you, Phil. And without you, Gerald. All the contribution. So we've got a couple of minutes left. Any shameless plugs that you want to share about what you're doing or any other exciting news on the horizon that you've heard talking to Ann?
Go ahead, Phil.
No, I have nothing. Sorry, I thought we were going to have a silence there.
I was just going to say, I mean, we were just talking about with viral content buzz. I think is like really the up and coming, you know, groundbreaking, earth-shattering stuff. So yeah, I don't know of anything additional on top of that. I know we're just very super fired up and, you know, very very stoked and just really pumped about viral content buzz and how that's going to mesh and benefit the MyBlogGuest community.
I really am looking forward to if the decision is made to integrate the viral content buzz with article gallery or with the MyBlogGuest in general. That would be so helpful to be able to click the buttons within MyBlogGuest.
I can see how that would be useful. I don't think it should ever replace the forum thread, though, for people like myself.
Yeah, probably. I think I probably tend to agree with you on that, Phil. Yeah, I think we you know. Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. And you know, it may be that Ann didn't really mean that we were gonna like totally replace it. She probably just meant complement it. You know,
yeah.
That'd be my thoughts. But we probably really need to just ask her about that when she's back.
Well, the forum really gives that room for that engagement and getting to know people.
Sure,
especially
absolutely.
The regulars.
Absolutely. It's kind of a social ground to, you know, hey, you know, get to meet people and follow me on Twitter and stuff like that. I agree totally.
And by the way, a sidebar on the forum, I thought of this as I was in there moderating, and unfortunately I have to remove the ones that are not guest posts. And you're supposed to click a little button before you submit it that says, yes, this is a guest post. However, there's always the signature. And I don't believe that's breaking any rules. If you've got something that you want to promote and you want to put that in your signature file, that's a way to interact on the social love forum and still have that article, but make sure that what you're actually submitting for other people to share is a guest post. So just a little tip for.
Yeah, you don't want to submit a product page or something.
It's always difficult to delete. There might be a great article, but it's not a guest post, and unfortunately, it has to be removed from that particular forum because it's set apart just for the guest post promotion.
Sure.
So, anything else anyone would like to add before we count down the seconds on the September MyBlogGuest Google Plus on-air Hangout, or is it Hangout on Air? One of these days, I'm going to get those words in the right order.
Google Plus Hangout, I suppose.
Yes, and then you get the on-air Hangout, Google Plus on-air Hangout. So it's a MyBlogGuest September Google Plus on-air Hangout. There you go.
September Google Plus MyBlogGuest Hangout party.
There we go. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And this video will go down, and then it will come back up after a little editing and branding. And
We're going to put this up on the blog or something?
Yes. And
Oh,
then
awesome.
Anne will have a hold of it so she can add her magic as well.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, you guys have a good evening or day, depending on where you're at. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you at MyBlogGuest
you,
and
Deborah.
Viral Content Buzz.
See you guys.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.